Greetings, sending you all warm, positive vibrations. This is Body-Culinary, and I'm an early riser, right? I'm a very early riser. And so all I hear right now, the dogs and the roosters, but I'm sending you all some warm, positive vibrations. So, as I've shared before, the early part of the day is very precious. And by the way, before I forget, you're welcome to inquire if you're interested in Team Early Risers. That is where I work with several women training. I'm a professional chef and a fitness coach, for those of you who didn't know that, with several decades of experience. But aside from that, Team Early Risers is for those folks that are interested in really having a focus, whether that is achieving a natural weight with their body, clearing up their skin, getting their life in order, prioritizing their personal movement practice, as well as upgrading their fuel. Labels not necessary, although there is a focus on peaceful eating. Fresh fruits, vegetables, seeds, and nuts is the foundation. You can create it and take it wherever you want. Feel free to subscribe to the channel, make use of the Start Your Own Garden series, the personal movement practice, aka what some people call exercise, those videos, as well as if you have very fine, natural, kinky, cottony hair, or just embracing your natural hair as a woman. And if you've ever had issues with lots of acne, those are the types of things that I share on this channel. Hopefully you find something that inspires you to be proactive in your life. So this early day, because my mind is very clear, the mind of thought is very clear in the early day. Oh, so much creativity is just flowing out at that time. And so this early day, I've been really contemplating how critically important it is to accept, deeply appreciate your body, your current body, and the skin that you're in. And I'm going to say this, and this is just one woman's perspective. If it doesn't resonate, toss it in the garbage. I'm going to say, accept your weight, even if you feel you have additional weight, a lot of weight, if you have a bigger body and that's uncomfortable for you, if you feel like you have acne, if you feel like your hair's kinky, if you feel like you have dark circles, if you feel like you got some corns on your toes, right, or your toes are a different shape. If you feel you have, if you feel you have stretch marks on your arms or on your stomach for whatever reason, whether that's weight loss, weight gain, having children. It's very important to love your body and your skin as you are in the skin that you're in now, and appreciate it now. As I've said in some other videos, I don't recommend that anybody follow me. I don't recommend that folks follow anybody. I think that's an important distinction. Why? I like to consume living foods, and technically as a vegan, I'm not eating flesh. If I wanted to, that would change tomorrow. Then where would you be if you're just following somebody? So that's why I think it's very important in these times for all of us, humans, especially, Afro women. I think it's very important for all folks not to follow people, right? There's a distinction between seeing if something resonates with you. It's like, okay, I'd like to try that out. And then I'm following somebody and what they didn't work out. And so either you demonize the person, you put them up on a pedestal that perhaps you didn't need to, then only to tear them down, where your life and your health is your responsibility. Now back to your body temple. Loving your skin, even if you have acne, and I'm someone that has had like a lot of acne, like a lot, like cystic. Sometimes my skin can be all clear, and then when they start pumping up, like, and that was very embarrassing. Greetings. I felt very embarrassed by it, especially as someone that has been in the fitness industry for some years, several decades, especially as someone that competed as fitness, someone also that worked in a high-end gym as a personal trainer with all my clients. Here I am juicing, eating healthy, doing those healthy stuff, and I had all of this acne and dark marks, and I don't prefer to wear makeup. Many times I like to play in mascara or this or that. But again, I might decide to tomorrow if I want you to play in mascara. So I'm sharing my perspective. I really want to make that distinction. I think it's important. And I think these nuances or these distinctions, I love distinctions. I absolutely love distinctions. Distinctions I find provide clarity and grounding for me. Sometimes I may think I'm saying the same thing as somebody, but actually we're coming from a different space or perspective. And I'm highly aware of folks or entities or companies trying to control my narrative. So that distinction of I don't advise people to follow me. I'm simply sharing my experience and my perspective. Your health, your perspective, your life is 110% your responsibility. And distinctions like that, I found, you may find that it is extremely freeing psychologically. And so I'm very fascinated by what drives our behavior, what drives us to be motivated to get into action around the things that we say are important to us. And I'm also very very fascinated, and I watch what drives us to self-sabotaging behaviors. Now, I couldn't articulate this fully as a child, but I would look at certain habits. Like my family was a very church-going family, the southern part of my family. And as a child, I could see as a young girl, I could see such a distinction, or I think the word is dichotomy, perhaps even contradiction between the big, gigantic picture of the Last Supper, which, by the way, did not look like any of the people in my house, wasn't representative of us or our culture, but that big picture on the wall over the dinner table in the dining room, and the amount of church people went to, and not saying there weren't some wonderful things about my family, but looking at the alcoholism, drug addiction, which all people in communities have, by the way. But I saw such a contradiction to a certain point where I was like, well, why spend all this time in church and yet I don't see the self-sabotage, which I did not have a word for. I don't see those things change. Today, as an older adult, I can make the distinction that a lot of times we're praying, and I do think there's some relevance and importance to prayer, but a lot of times we need some basic life skills. We need some basic fitness skills, communication skills, financial skills, etc. So that being said, I'm always fascinated what's driving our behavior. And in the fitness industry, helping people, quote unquote, lose weight is big money. Why? Because there's a reason why there's so many adults that have an unhealthy weight. So distinctions, love distinctions. They're the distinction between being curvy and voluptuous, right? That being your natural shape, and having a lot of adipose tissue, which is a term for fatty tissue that is around your waistline, around your waistline, to the point where your waistline starts to come out. I'm making waist beads, by the way, but to your point where your waistline starts to come out over your hips. So that is a distinction. That is a precursor for diabetes and high blood pressure. So we can be curvy or more fuller throughout the body, but when we start carrying more here, that is a distinction of unhealthy weight. And actually, we can have fat that's right underneath the skin or adipose tissue. We can have visceral fat that kind of like, if you think of marbleization, or ground meat, where that fatty tissue is wrapping around the organs. So you yourself in your quiet moments can touch your midsection and touch your body, and you can feel if you have additional tissue that's there. Some of us may be underweight, which is not as common, but I've also been around folks that are very underweight and that will put on several pairs of pants or do different things to make themselves appear fuller, to fit to a certain aesthetic or standard. And that's what I wanted to touch on today, the importance of loving your skin. So, something that, I wonder, shouldn't I? But just in being transparent, also inspirational. As someone that has had transformed my body several times, it's very important for, I don't want to say weight loss, because I know something I work with my clients is weight release. There's a distinction between an anxiety of trying to force something, right? When your habitual thought patterns and ways of thinking and expressing, which become your actions, your default right now is what is giving you the result that is walking around in the flesh. Whatever's walking around right now is a result of our habits, right? And a lot of that is subconscious. By the way, these are the types of things that I work with folks. In addition to being a chef, focused on healthy food, I work a lot with coaching. So you're free to message me on bodyculinary.com. Wow. So, but anyway, these are distinctions, and I think it's very important as a coach and as a trainer. I don't distinguish myself as a healer. Actually, the body has a onboard innate intelligence. It's smart enough to heal itself. I mean, it can heal a cut, right? It grows hair. It heals skin. A lot of times we are in the way due to our habitual thought patterns. So how I feel about my hair, again, I may want to try makeup or something on tomorrow to play. But there's a distinction. I'm very active in the garden and I like to sweat. Last night I was playing capoeira. Um, so I want to sweat and breathe. So that active lifestyle is not conducive to a lot of makeup. It's uncomfortable for me to hug somebody and put a chocolate face print on them. And I just want to be active. For me, I found it a hindrance. Probably the last things to go for me were let's say the waterproof mascara, which I loved accenting and playing up my eyelashes because I love my eyelashes. But I found when I'm going to wipe it off with olive oil or coconut oil, sometimes my eyelashes will be gone with it. So a lot of times it's beautiful. I can appreciate it and I can appreciate play. There are times I like to play with, give myself coloring my eyelashes temporarily blue or brown. But when it comes to my health is number one. So right now I prefer to play with shea butter on my eyelashes. Or because I'm hydrated from food, I actually, the last thing I used to wear on my lips was vegan lip balm from the food co-op. But I found that I'm hydrated, that my lips don't feel dry. So a lot of times I have just found that I just don't need it, but I do get that sometimes we'll want to play. So again, that's up to you. That's up to you. Your sovereignty, your relaxation around your body, and relaxation and feeling comfortable about what you look like. Like, right, it's rare, but right now, sometimes I'll come on share. I have a little blemish right here, right? And if you can imagine those over all my whole face, you know, it could be kind of, oh my gosh, to let that be seen. And I know we're in the age of makeup palettes and makeovers, and yes, I could come on here and do a fancy backdrop and all of that stuff. But there's something in me intuitively that likes to feel comfortable in my skin. And I think it's very important for us to be able to be relaxed. There's this feeling of anxiety. So you tell me what you think, and respectfully in the comments. I have found, right, because I watch patterns in an effort to hold space and to be a catalyst to match education and support with people's fitness goals, right, and their eating goals. So I found that anxiety, stress, and triggers is often what causes or what provides the ideal environment for us to eat mindlessly, right? Also, I respect if my body is showing me something. So I used to love to do manicures, love to do manicures. My hand also is in food all the time. So a lot of times it's just not functional for my lifestyle. So what I've explored recently is buffing my nails, and I keep them a functional length because dirt gets them in the garden. The garden is my priority. Play is my priority. So I will I like to make health my number one beauty product. And if I can feel relaxed, like, you look at these models and they have these natural looks. It's like, I always used to think I want to wash and go too. I want to have natural skin so I don't have to wear makeup. So I have made a decision to make health my number one beauty product. And if I should get a blemish, I can track, because my food is so simple, beautiful, delicious, but simple. I can track right away if it's not enough sleep, if it's too many nuts, right? When you simplify things, you can track and trace what's going on with your own body. So, and being very relaxed. I don't know, this may seem overly simple, but relaxation is key. So if you notice you're eating mindfully, like I notice it with all my years of experience and fitness and eating whole living foods, I'm very much human. I'm not interested in finding one more thing to divide us, right? And I'm always looking for their consistencies with all human beings. Sometimes looking at celebrities like they don't have real lives, and a lot of people may not show you their struggles, right? And sometimes this can have people and clients feel like, oh my gosh, I could never do that. Or you're fit because you're at the gym all day. And even working at the gym for many years, I decided after competing to stop using the leg press machine, right? And stop using other machines. One, because you don't live in a machine. Number two, because the foundation of my fitness, even when I competed, even working years at the gym, was always my self-care in my home space. And I make sure I have my creature comforts and my toys to play with at home. But then it always becomes this dialogue where people can give themselves an out, right? And give themselves an excuse of why they're not really taking on what they say is important to them. One of those things being fitness. So and my goal is always I'm not interested in dieting, and I'd rather approach my personal movement practice from play, right? I look for opportunities to learn from everyone. And my son is one of my greatest teachers. Children and people, I realize and notice in patterns, learn through play. In play, your mind is open and relaxed. If you look at children are very open to trying new things. Even if they fall down, they get up and, can I go again? Can I go again? Whereas adults, we, cop an attitude, want to kick rocks, and we don't want to try again. So these are some important distinctions, right, of why we have so much anxiety, which leads to stress. Anxiety and stress will need to be soothed and comforted, right? Psychologically, even though you can't see it. If we're processing things in a way we're stressed, right? Kind of think of like if something was kept going like this, scratching you, eventually you're going to have to calm it down because it's an irritation. So a lot of this mental irritation must be soothed. So I found that there is an internal dialogue, which we always have going on all the time, the mind. There's an internal dialogue, there's a pressure, there's an anxiety that comes from looking at these screens, definitely from scrolling through, looking at social media. Before there was so much more social media, looking at people walking on the street or these ideal body types. Sometimes very subtly, the internal dialogue is when they come up with shame, embarrassment, just these not good feelings. So the mind bathing in these not good feelings, it's a type of irritation and can cause the roots of depression and anxiety or symptoms of it. And we'll want to calm it. So that's when it can become very easy as we're looking at the screen, giving messages to our mind to, like a pacifier, even if it's healthy food, be munching mindlessly, totally unaware of the amount of fuel that we're putting in our car, that we're putting too much fuel. If you go to, I'm not a car person, I'm more of a bicycle person. But if we go to the gas station and we fill the, what do you call it? The tank up with gas. And if we put too much gas in, what's going to happen? It's going to spill out. Well, now in the case of the body, if we spill all that gas out, where's it going to be stored? It's going to be stored in the midsection as adipose tissue or fatty tissue. It's also going to be stored for women, usually around the arms, right? And the stomach and the glutes or the butt, And the thighs for men is going to be stored in the midsection and also in their chest, especially, as we age. So a lot of us are under a lot of stress in our chosen field of work, perhaps the responsibilities, perhaps a lot of us may be experiencing stress from poor life decisions, or more so than poor decisions made in ignorance, and now we're receiving the repercussions. All of these things are actual stresses, um, stresses, mental and emotional stresses, and also looking at other people who we perceive to be having a quote unquote better life or a better time. Um, again, it's another form of anxiety. So, in loving your body through uh, a pimple, right? And relaxing and allowing your body, or knowing that your body can heal itself. And if you don't see that process happening, asking questions, slowing down to be quiet, to ask about what we're seeing, you can start to realize that the noise of the world and the comparing ourselves to others and the experts actually is louder than the voice of our divine onboard intelligence that will process and make sense of a blemish, or what's going on with my body, what's going on with my weight or my waistline. Paying attention and being present, Wonderful distinction is being present. When we're under a lot of anxiety looking at these screens, we're not present. That means our mind is processing all these pictures and stuff there, but we're not present. We're not tuned in to our own breathing. It's a distinction. It's not the same. It's so subtle, but it's not. It's not the same. So, in taking the time to look and see what's there and appreciate what is actually there, the wonderment of what is there, um, and to see what the body temple, this vehicle that we're using while we're here in this earth plane, how it's expressing itself, how our hair, body, and skin is responding to the environment, how it's responding to what we're doing to it. It's a tremendous amount of information. Do you realize how much we're not present? It's actually astounding if you really think about it. And so that means a lot of times we're responding subconsciously or on automatic pilot. So again, however you want to dress, whether you use chemicals or not, I'm not here to tell grown folks what to do. It's your journey. Quite often you'll be experimenting. I've experimented on myself. I remember back in the day I had Jerry curl and a gold tooth. Yeah, oh my gosh. But back in the day, I was trying to work with some kind of aesthetic, but it's been really something to look at myself from the first time my return to natural around towards the end of high school. When I cut my hair off, I was like, oh my gosh. Back then I was saying, oh my God. It was an epiphany to me that I was beautiful and I liked my aesthetic. I didn't have to squeeze my nose in like Michael Jackson. That I was like, I'm beautiful with no makeup. That was an epiphany. I will never, ever forget that moment. You couldn't pay me to go back. Right? Just the anxiety. Do you realize how much anxiety there is around our hair? To change our aesthetic, quite often we're trying to be chosen. Now, trying to be chosen is not necessarily a negative thing like natural attraction or wanting to be married or in a relationship. But when we're putting ourselves and our health in harm's way, exposing ourselves to dangerous chemicals, putting extremely caustic and dangerous chemicals next to our brain, Wow, that's deep. We're putting stuff next to our brain, and even though they have organic products, constantly, I don't know, I feel intuitively as someone that likes to, that prioritizes my health, it doesn't feel intuitively healthy to me to constantly be caking on chemicals onto my largest eliminative organ. So again, this is not to make anyone bad or wrong. And again, however you want to beautify and groom is totally up to you. What your food is yours. It's your. There's no police here to tell you, what to do. You are sovereign in your own life. So your experimentation, if that's your personal journey. But I can tell you, I can share with you that to allow yourself to be seen, to see yourself, like I call it mirror meditation. Take it if it resonates, or you can throw it in the garbage. So I'm going to share some. Hopefully this is helpful. So right now I have a blemish, which is red. It'll go away, right? Trust, because I've seen it happen before. Just like when I'm in the garden, you put a seed in the ground, you don't stand there and stare at it to grow. If you water and nurture it and weed around it, it's going to grow, right? That's the faith. It's not blind faith of the farmer. So I have this thing, I call it a mirror meditation in what I call my radical self-acceptance journey, where I will just stare in the mirror. I will just stare, relax and breathe, and I allow myself to be seen by myself. So I'll stand and I'll breathe, and I look at my eyes. I'll look at my eyes, and sometimes like, who is looking? Right. This is something I also used to do with my baby when he was born. I used to like, do you remember where you were before you came here? This is what mothers do. We talk to our babies when they're born. But I would stare at myself and know that there's something animating this body. And in a phase of life now, the car has wear and tear, but also I'm like, it's brilliant. It blinks. The organ of the brain works, right? My heart is pumping. Like, really see what's there and appreciate, like, and then just be quiet and just stare at yourself and notice, and really looking deeply into your own reflection while you're on this earth plane, right? Because at one point we will leave this particular existence. Do you notice the thoughts that come up? Do you notice the criticisms that come up? Do you notice? You got to really hear, listen quietly. Do you hear like, oh my gosh, I need this. Oh my gosh, I have dark circles. Oh my gosh, my eyebrows don't go back where I was tweezing them. Oh my gosh, I need to tweeze a little bit more off this side. I need to tweeze a little bit more off this side. I need to tweeze a little bit more on this side. Oh my gosh, I need to flip down my edges. Oh gosh. Oof. What this is looking like. Oh my gosh. What are people going to think? What's so-and-so going to think? Oh, I want to look like, what's her name? What's her channel? Oh, I would love to have Valerie June Locks. Like, do you notice the dialogue? Because what you have right now is what you have. Right? What you have is what you have. And with all the affirmations and meditations and stuff like that, I don't know about you, but I'm some person, I can't fake it. I can't fake it, right? And there's a trick with affirmations. If you're affirming, oh, I'm a millionaire, but if you don't really believe it, you can actually get the reverse effect, because subconsciously you don't believe it. So someone in the back of your mind thinking this is BS, this is bull crap, right? But if you really take your time, right, and notice, if you not only believe, but if what you know is different between what you know to be true and what you believe to be true. For example, what I know to be true is my hair grows away from the scalp. What I know is this is my natural texture. What I know is that I know, right, for a fact it's going to grow in after, like, this is going my 5th year, that these will grow in flat. That's what I know. What I know is this is the skin that I have, my skin tone, my color is going to change. What I know is that the texture of my breasts have changed as I have breastfed. See, these are things we may not want to talk about because it's embarrassing. There's a sense of undercurrent of shame, right? This is a society that doesn't prize maturing. You're only valued, and only sexually, right? There's quote unquote sexual market value between the ages of about 17, 18, and 25. Then there's this undercurrent thought. You see that society to a certain degree can toss you away or not value you as much. So can you imagine if we go by society's standards, that you're not good enough unless you get this big, gigantic makeup palette. You can't be seen without makeup. One of my colleagues once in the travel industry, I remember she never let her husband ever see her without makeup. Now, again, I'm not inviting you to follow. I'm thinking of the context, and context is everything. I do get someone putting their best face forward and always for themselves feeling attractive, right? And wanting to be attractive to their husband. But we both had very intense acne. And so are you a slave to the makeup? Where you feel like you can't be seen because your husband, your partner, or your spouse is not going to find you attractive if they really see all the dark marks on your face without the makeup. And so I think that is the distinction. Or only you can say for you, is there a distinction between wearing a mask? Do you feel that's what's important? Like, it's anxiety. If I take off the mask, nobody's going to want me. And so the mirror meditation, or just my own made up mirror meditation, is about, you may not even want yourself, but I'm choosing myself. And the more you choose yourself, the more you want yourself. If you continue to look into your own reflection and observe what is there, because this is the body temple you have right now. This is why it's so important, right? And I'm going to be transparent. Hopefully this can be some value for folks. As somebody that's been very ripped up before as a fitness competitor, maybe in my, maybe about 20 years ago, having like a real confidence and feeling more muscular and lean, because to me it's a beauty feature, something that's very attractive. But even coming off a stage of competition, you don't look leaned out for competition after a competition. And I know very early on in my fitness days with my coach, I remember other folks on my team wanting to diet all year, right? And to go from one competition to another, and then starting to say, like, oh, we're going to compete all year. And that was actually, I realized, in common sense and as a researcher, like, that intuitively didn't feel healthy, and it felt very strenuous. Just wasn't interested in dieting all year. As a chef, you don't need too much sodium, but I wasn't interested in throwing away my collection of gourmet salts, because I like to experiment and play with food. So I'm not interested in dieting. So if I take off the dieting off the table, if I take off, like, oh my gosh, if I keep doing this and I keep doing that, maybe they'll choose me. But if I take that off the table, or as I have taken that off the table, and have made a conscious, purposeful decision to choose me, it has brought such peace, a relaxation, definitely increased my pocketbook, my purse strings, but the relaxation, right? Your body, and I'll just share something that I found for me to be, I know rather than I think. I've had clients say, you really think I could lose this weight? And I would say, of course you can. I'm speaking from science, because I've seen people build, even if their genetic disposition may not be like, very round and voluptuous, but they can build a glute. You can build a muscle. You can resculpt your body. Some of the people that would take the overall competition sometimes would be grandmothers, mothers, full-time moms with a full-time job. These are people that had really used fitness as part of their emotional center and their personal dojo, your personal area to demonstrate to yourself what you have the ability to do and to push past. So I've always had several friends, homies, that were also moms, that were also fitness competitors. So I was in great company. So I have a tendency to look for the best teachers and coaches, and to keep people in my personal Rolodex and in my circle of influence, right? The 5 people that you communicate the most with, that have me striving to another level of moving past my excuses, right? And being about the business, right? Of getting results. But I know that if you apply this, and that, this type of workload, right, and this type of consistency, and this type of healthy food, your body can only respond to the stimulus you're putting on it. So I would tell the person, of course you can lose this weight, but the person had been had so much unhealthy weight deemed by themselves and their doctor, that they could no longer envision themselves at a healthy weight. So I'm here to tell you, your body has a natural intelligence. And a lot of times it's just, we're in the way. And what does that mean? Not being cryptic, is that we are not accountable or present, even more so, to the amount of excessive fuel that we're putting in in the name of comforting ourselves, right? So the mirror meditation is just about seeing what's there. Again, you may decide to wear makeup or not. I'm not the food or hair or makeup police. That's your point of play. But only you can determine if you're masking yourself because you don't feel good about yourself. For some people, they may feel like that's a bridge to make them feel better. So for some folks that have been disfigured, or maybe some folks um, that have been down and out without resources, they're going to make over to go for a job. It's really about how you feel about yourself. But if there's the undercurrent that you actually really don't feel about yourself, and you feel like it's a mask and you feel great. But I know for me, when I take off the mask and I don't feel like myself, that I feel like it cements in, it kind of affirms that this is I really don't feel good about myself unless I have this. And so a radical self-acceptance, a journey of allowing yourself to be seen by yourself and relax there. And you go from relaxing and accepting to appreciation. Notice the feel, or you can notice the feelings that come up for you about yourself, your hair and your skin. It's a bazillion-dollar industry to capitalize off of our insecurities. All women, particularly Afro women. I mean, there's something to cater to every human being's insecurities, right? We can even use fitness as an overcompensation for not feeling good. See, it's all depends on your context. And so I've made a decision, because I prefer to be relaxed, to use health as my number one beauty product. And there'll be times when I may appear to be more ripped, depending on my workload and what I'm doing, right? Life happens. It's rare. Injuries happen. Sickness happens. Unforeseen things happen. Moves happen. Relationships that break up happen. But quite often for many of us, right, one of the first things that we will drop is our self-care regimen. And self-care, which would look like our sleep, might be your trainer or your coach, or however it is the investment of resources and time that you put into your literal fitness, to me, which was one of the ultimate beauty products. You might be skimping on your olive oil or your shea butter. I don't know. But quite often what we kick to the curb, I've seen as a pattern with most people, especially women, is our self-care. And if we take if we stand back and look objectively, it's a skewed equation. And as I was communicating with a client yesterday, quite often for many of us Afro women, okay, it's kind of like we're in a boat that's sinking. Water's spurting up out of the boat. Water's spurting. It was sinking fast. But here's, baby, you all right? Yeah, you got everything you need. We're taking care of everyone. Meanwhile, our boat is sinking fast, right? In water. I don't know if you can. I'm an analogy kind of person. I think and communicate in pictures. So our boat is sinking in terms of self-care, our energy level, putting on extra weight to carry around. We're aging ourselves. We're not getting enough sleep. But yet the boat is sinking. And somehow we're still not prioritizing self-care. Now, do we beat up on ourselves? I like curiosity. Where does that come from? Where does it come from? I would even say that we actually feel a sense of pride about being a martyr. So I can't say for you, I know a lot of that programming or those instructions that are now in my subconscious have been placed there, whether it was intentionally or not, through religion, that we take a sense of pride in taking care of everyone, but not ourselves. I remember my grandma on my southern side telling stories about walking with holes in her shoes with cardboard in the cold. And so as a coping mechanism, and also to communicate what they went through. And I think the intention may have been to like help the young people to get a focus on school and education. But after a while, the myths of the stories of what they went through as these heroes and sheroes rose, it becomes like, well, if they did it, I can suffer too. And, you grow, wisdom is hard earned. At this particular point, and I didn't always feel this way. I'm not banking necessarily on I don't know that I want to wait for a better place in heaven, and to suffer to serve everyone else while not treating myself to olive oil and shea butter and the best food, or paying a bit extra for blueberries because I work hard to make sure I'm cared for, to make sure that I am taken care of, to make sure that I can eat beautiful foods that are beautifying, foods that contribute to my longevity, that I am prioritizing things that I need and desire to help me feel good. So I don't particularly I don't care for groupthink. However, if I look, I'm very attracted to certain things in my culture. Let's say, and one of them in the Ifa and Orisha tradition is that I've been exploring is Oshun. And so I've heard several women say that Oshun, this deity who wears yellow and is very about beauty, right? What woman doesn't enjoy beauty? What men don't enjoy beauty? But the analogy that Afro women deserve pleasure. Now, that was a paradigm shift and an epiphany because as this person explained it, you experiencing pleasure is a requirement for health, for your health and well-being. I was like, wow, that's a shift. Now, we know we like things and we like good things, but to see it as a requirement, that I require pleasure, like I deserve pleasure. And it's also, you need it in order to be able to share it with others. That's a different paradigm from being a martyr and I'm suffering so that you can do better, right? How do you think our sons and our daughters feel about seeing us suffer? We may think that we're giving them a good message. Maybe, perhaps, and again, if this doesn't resonate, toss it in the garbage. Perhaps our sons seeing us suffer and not requiring more from who we choose as mates, right? More of a vetting process. Perhaps we have gotten them used to we don't require much. And so we're taken for granted because we're okay with it. Perhaps that's one of the messages that we're giving them. Perhaps also our daughters watching us not really doting on ourselves, right? We want to be doted on and cared for and just the best given to us by others, but we're not giving it to ourselves. So perhaps our children who are not as programmed yet, in a simple way, even though they can't articulate it, can see the dichotomy or the contradiction. So we may think on the surface we're demonstrating certain lessons to them, but we're teaching them somewhere else. And somehow we can't figure out why a lot of our young men are so disrespectful. And these are questions I don't have all the answers. You're welcome to contribute respectively your perspective in the comments. So the message that we're giving, the equation, I suspect, is skewed that through being a martyr will be more respected, right? Someone could love you, or I would say I make the distinction between love in terms of responsibility and love in terms of affection. Somebody can find you perhaps attractive enough to sleep with, but that does not mean that they respect you or that they will honor you or make sure that you are secured or respect your boundaries, right? Don't you wish we had this wisdom at 20 and 17? But wisdom is hard earned. So that's one of the reasons that I'm transparent with certain things to a healthy boundary, degree here in an effort. Hopefully this can help someone because it's an age where you see so much that is made up online. And I don't know, especially someone that's worked in the fitness industry, I know there are many things that fitness competitors and trainers are not going to tell you about how folks have their physiques, whether they're taking diuretics or pills or shots. I used to buy a lot of the fitness magazines. And so I know from being around a lot of competitors, what it's like to the volume of training that you're doing or the competition or body dysmorphia with some women that are ripped up. Some have body dysmorphia. So some women think it's going to be the end of all your problems when you get really fit. I can tell you at one point, being extremely ripped, sometimes I used to feel like a piece of meat because people, and you can see this a lot on YouTube because in the social media, a lot of times you can't see the entities that are behind screen. So it allows people to act out and do things they might not do if they were in your face. You know, people feel free to come into your quote unquote perceived personal space. So you may think that there is no personal space because you're online, and to engage as if they know you intimately, right? There's like a lot of healthy boundaries that have been moved. So back to this, loving yourself is so critical. To love yourself, whatever weight you are, even if you're 400 pounds. Yes, even if you have a face full of acne, I think it can be revolutionary. I think it can be, it can provide such a shift if you just notice the judgments and the condemnations, right? Because then you can start to see what's fueling the mindless behavior. And when you don't feel good about yourself, right? You can see what's fueling the anxiety that's driving your behavior to a lot of mindless eating, mindless consumption, or even putting ourselves in harm's way with certain products, putting ourselves in harm's way in certain unreciprocal or unhealthy or unvetted relationships with people that don't demonstrate a real care for ourselves, which is demonstrated by putting yourself in harm's way or putting somebody else in harm's way. And yes, that's even sexually. So the more we can sit and appreciate ourselves and in a subtle way, even talk to ourselves or communicate with ourselves, because there's the onboard intelligence and in different parts of our psyche and intelligence. So it's not a crazy thing, but to communicate with yourself, you know what, I appreciate you. And I'm going to make sure, this is me talking to myself, mirror meditation, that I'm not going to put you in harm's way. No matter how fine the guy is, and I've dated Black Adonis, professional bodybuilder, beautiful. But I would have to say there's no one on this planet that is worth me getting an STD for, or having an unplanned pregnancy, right? So the valuing of myself as I am right now, even if my face was covered up with acne, I have this thing with myself. I'm not going to put you in harm's way willingly. And when that is the foundation of your thinking and your reasoning, oh my gosh, you can save yourself so much money and time. But I thought it requires just a sitting with yourself, a relaxation and a breathing, accepting yourself, making a decision to choose yourself. I choose myself. And you get used to it. It may feel foreign initially. It may feel like you're faking it. But it's a conscious decision. I have chosen myself. So I'm taking all of that stuff off the table. It brings such a peace, such relaxation, save you so much money. And you get to decide what you want to add back, right? When you feel good about yourself and what you want to add back in terms of grooming or playing. But distinction is a difference between, only you can determine if you need to put on a mask in order to be accepted, and be accepted by who in order to do what. Or I'm accepting myself. I'm appreciating the body that I've got. That kind of relaxation can go a long way in your body falling, adjusting to a natural weight, a healthy weight for it, right? Because you're not dumping things in mindlessly in order to pacify yourself and make yourself feel better. Does this make sense? I hope that this is this my lisp, right? It's the lisp that I've got, the open bite that I've got, right? This is the hair that I've got, a relaxation and a peace and acceptance. This is the body temple I got. You might have an injury. I have some stretch marks. I'm a little more full right now. You know, my body's going to change as I mature. I have stretch marks, you know, on my tummy. If I eat too much, it's going to be distended. You know, this is it. This is it. Like, this is it. This is my skin. These are my toes. You got a couple of corns, you know, scrub up some shea butter and some sea salt and put the best scent. Or you might have no scent for a while. Sometimes you might want to experiment with yourself with having nothing on, with just being clean, right? Just cleanliness and your own clean scent, but a relaxation. Relaxation is so key to achieving a healthy weight and allowing your body to breathe and heal. If you have lots of acne or scarring, your body's intelligent. It can hear out. It's interesting, right? Some of the Caribbean girls, right? Some of my family, half is Caribbean. Many of the women in my family used to use this bleaching cream called Venus de Milo. All of them smell exactly the same. I grew up where they had Ambi skin tone cream, which was bleaching cream. They had the soap and the wash, all those products, in a jar, a tube, and they had the soap. And in the Caribbean, I remember they used to, if they had a mark, they would put, they used Noxzema, and they also would put the bleaching cream there. And actually looking back, it would cause like patches in the face. But people were like, the anxiety of trying to get rid of a mark. Now, I remember reading, right, because some of my aunties had these products. And if you read on the tube, it takes 10 to 15 days for you to start to see results. Look, like being on this journey for like decades, your skin will clear up on its own, right? But the anxiety to make you cover it up, sometimes you can't see, or perhaps you haven't discontinued the habit of overstuffing yourself with certain foods, or even when I was eating healthy for years, I had to pay the tab. All the things, the unhealthy junk foods, and I was a junk food junkie that I had stuffed my body with, had to come out through the skin. So as one of my mentors used to tell me, better out than in, so it made sense, but it just didn't. I felt so embarrassed. So I decided to let myself be seen. Right. And the first person to see myself is me. So it's like, I choose me. I accept me. This is what my body is going through. Maybe I'll post some of those pictures, because I can remember when my skin was really changing and I would be so anxious, like if another one was going to come. But if I continue certain habits, mindless eating habits, mindless consumption can also be, can be very addicting, is the screen and watching things that don't make you feel good and that actually make you feel anxious. Do you realize we can be anxiously, like I call it coming through the back door, we can be anxiously fixated and addicted to watching things out of fear, like you have to keep an eye on it. I got to keep an eye on what's happening with the storms. Okay, want to be informed, but all day we can like be tuning in all day to these things that are making us anxious. You're tuning into more tutorials and more makeup tutorials. Where's the space to relax? Which is why I recommend everybody start a garden, even if it's in your windowsill. Provides for such relaxation. So I just wanted to come on and to share, feel free to put this video back on, maybe when you're washing the dishes. I am one to keep company with myself, friends that don't complain. So for years, even before YouTube and all that, I always found relaxing or educational, or they call them audiobooks now, but I found those years ago to keep me company and to help me get a focus, because what you are putting in and what you're watching is driving quite often anxiety, which results in subconscious, mindless consumption in order to soothe and to pacify ourselves. And looking and appreciating, even if you have a big, voluptuous body, even if it has a whole lot of weight, just like the state of mind that you're in, if you really love and appreciate yourself, then more than likely you'll have more of an open space and less subconscious mental resistance to giving yourself the best. Whether that's a little bit more for your berries or your organic lettuces, or perhaps less resistance to taking the time. Some people see it's perspective and context. I'm not taking all that time to make that food versus I'm having a good time with myself, and it's good quality time spent in meditation and preparing my food, even from scratch. Like I do like home tools. I have the fancy stuff and the juices and that, but I have found the taste is better, the nutrition is better, and sometimes it's just very meditative, grating or making my own food. So hopefully you got some value out of this video. If you are interested in cultivating a personal movement practice, getting up early, and you want some support in, your fitness regime, if you're interested in making some food from scratch, which, by the way, I always feel like these ways, I call them the ways of the grandmothers, are very useful right now, because, in an emergency, are you going to be grabbing some hair products? We have taken that off the table. I can just rock with just water. So right now, there's nothing in here, right? Doesn't mean I don't like grooming, but in an emergency, this lifestyle is fun and functional. It's freeing, fun, and functional. Yes. So I invite you, free up yourself or not. It's totally your choice. You can work it however you need to, but think of um, perhaps not just time management, but energy management. So I'm more now in energy management of do I have the energy and the motivation to play? So me masking myself would take away from energy to go run and play. I can go from a workout or with clients right into the garden, right into the next thing. I like having an active lifestyle, right? It's fun. And just not having to worry about this, knowing that the body is a self-healing organism. It's a self-healing vehicle when we just get out of the way. So if you're interested in that, if you're interested in coming into the food prep area, into my little Afro homestead to prepare food with me, right now I'm working on making nut butter and tahinis and things like that from scratch. My sister and I are going to be making compost tea for our next project in the garden. I think we're doing pretty good for two gals originally from the city. So, you know, I think it's a great thing for us to go ghost for a while. And if you're looking for us, remember the old school answering machines? You can find me in the garden making compost tea, doing some yoga, belly dancing, really focusing on me because I'm not. What I've taken off the table is waiting for somebody to ask me to dance. And interesting, when you're out and about doing that, more folks, for some reason, it makes you more um, attractive. But again, I'm not doing these things to be attractive to other people. I'm doing things that and pursuing things that give me joy, that give me contentment. And so, should this be my last day? Do I really want to spend my last day getting all primped up for pimps, perverts, and predators on the internet that don't really have a vested interest in my well-being? No offense. Or do I want to pursue body expression and being out in the garden with the sun on my skin, looking at the butterflies, or doing things that are personally challenging to me, right? Really loving and adoring myself? I'll take the latter. Right? So you're welcome to subscribe to the channel if you like. You're welcome to put this on if it's relaxing and if it's good support. I think many folks would take on more of a personal movement practice. If I came to your house right now with my double Dutch rope and we're starting a garden and I made some good food to share, it would be a no-brainer, right? I think these are things that are very natural to us. And a lot of the messages that are being marketed to us have us moving from a space of anxiety. So it's still early and the sun is coming up. So I invite you as part of the Early Risers team. Let me know if you're interested in the Early Risers team. Catching the sunrise and the sunset, personal movement practice, starting a garden and working with whole living unprocessed foods. If anything, you process them, but you know exactly what's in your food, and cruelty free, ideal, or at least the least harm possible. So that being said, create a great day on purpose because you said so. You're invited to, because I don't tell grown folks what to do. And I will see you soon in another video. Take care.